Your timeline just cracked and resealed, like lightning under your skin, and that restless ache in your chest is the portal announcing itself, and your old life is collapsing into silence. You didn't scroll here by accident. I'm speaking as a messenger of urgent intelligence, because your soul signature is shifting right now, and you must stop, breathe, and listen before the window closes and the signal fades. This isn't content. It's a coordinate system. You are not hunting for purpose. Purpose is hunting for you, and it begins with one small act, starting today, not someday. I am carrying a transmission for the exact person who feels too awake for the life they've been living, the one who wakes up with that quiet pressure behind the ribs, the one who can't pretend the old pattern still fits. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly why that bigger than this feeling keeps returning. When you will have one small act you can do today to set the axis of your path without forcing the whole map. You are not here by accident, not because an algorithm guessed you, because something in you refused to scroll past the moment your frequency recognized itself. You are not here by accident, because your higher self brought your mind to the only kind of confirmation it will accept, a direct signal. You are not here by accident, and now it becomes a responsibility, because once you see the coordinate, you cannot unsee it. So listen closely. The majority will tell you, purpose is a job title, a grand mission, a single sentence you must find before you're allowed to move. They will push you to be realistic, which usually means shrink. And when you can't shrink, they'll call it impatience, distraction, lack of discipline. But here's the truth. This is not a discipline problem. It is an axis problem. It is not that you are lost. You are being called. If you've been receiving strange inner downloads at inconvenient times, if time has been bending, either racing forward or dragging like wet cloth, if crowds drain you faster than they used to, if solitude suddenly feels like medicine, if your dreams have been vivid and heavy with meaning, if you can't tolerate shallow conversations without feeling a physical irritation in your chest, then stop labeling it instability. This is not instability. It is recalibration. It is your internal compass rejecting a false north, and that is why you feel restless even when things look fine. Because fine is not a direction. Fine is not a value. Fine is a holding pattern. You were not built to hover. You were built to align. Now, before we go any deeper, seal yourself into the transmission. Subscribe if you want the next signals when they come through, and comment one word, portal. Not for attention, not for the algorithm, for identification. And for the moment, your conscious mind stops arguing and agrees to be the kind of person who steps through. A guide is pinned below. Take it if you need it, because there is a window of opportunity around you right now, and it is not indefinite. The portal is open and your old self is bargaining for delay. It will say, wait until you know the whole plan. That is the trap. If you try to leap straight into the big plan, you will fracture your own gateway. The mind wants a skyscraper. When the soul asks for a single stone placed correctly, this is the opposite of what you've been taught. You've been taught to hunt for purpose like it's hidden behind a locked door. But purpose doesn't start as a trophy. It starts as an axis, small, clear, chosen, and then the rest of your life organizes around it, not by force, by gravity. And if a part of you needs a grounded stamp, take this. Purpose in life is recognized as a meaningful contributor to well-being. When and people are actively mapping the cognitive and emotional mechanisms connected to it, with many of those mechanisms showing a significant positive association with purpose. That isn't a motivational poster. That is a real pattern in how humans orient, endure, and thrive. So stop treating your longing like a glitch. It is an activation code. Stop treating your intensity like a problem. It is a signal of range. The reason you can't go back to normal is because you've already crossed the point where normal can satisfy you. And here is the pivot you have not been told. You do not need to discover your entire destiny to begin. You need one small act that places the axis, so the next step becomes visible. That is what we are doing here. This isn't content, it's a coordinate system. And here is the first sign. You know the feeling before you can explain it. A weight and a lift in the same breath. Some mornings you wake up and your chest feels tight, then hollow, then suddenly wide, like your rib cage is trying to make room for something your old life cannot hold. You inhale deeper than usual because shallow air doesn't reach the place that's calling. You sleep, you rise, you move, and still there's the sense of not enough, not in a greedy way, in a directional way. Hear me. Stay with me through this phase. You are not broken. You are being oriented. And time has been behaving strangely around you. Days race forward, yet you look back and nothing feels truly moved, or the opposite happens. Time slows, stretches, thickens, and you feel like you're waiting for a signal you can't name. You are not wrong. Your inner compass is refusing false motion. It wants trajectory. And then there's the social layer. Crowds drain you faster than they used to. Noise feels heavier. Small talk feels like sand in your mouth. You crave silence. Not because you hate people, but because you need to hear the transmission beneath the surface of everything. You want to be alone so you can listen for the faint click of alignment. You are not wrong. This is not you becoming antisocial. This is you becoming accurate. Now let me say it cleanly. This is not boredom. This is direction demanding a name. This is not you losing your mind. This is you receiving a signal that your life requires a different axis. You have tried to rationalize it, to drown it in productivity, to label it as restlessness, to call it just a phase. And it does not disappear, because it does not come from your thoughts. It comes from your axis. But here's the revelation that changes everything. Purpose and meaning are not the same thing, and that difference matters for what you're feeling right now. In the view that separates them, purpose is the part of meaning that carries a sense of direction and valued goals. Purpose is not a vague vibe. It is a central, self-organizing aim in your life, an inner lighthouse that organizes your goals and your behavior, and in doing so, it feeds you a sense of meaning. That is why you feel bigger than this. Not because you need more tasks, because you need a direction that is worthy of you. So stop insulting your own signal. You're not too sensitive. You're not too intense. You are tuned to what is real, and what is real is that you cannot live without a North Star. This is not a discipline problem. It is an axis problem. Discipline without direction becomes punishment. Hustle without values becomes noise, and you were not built to live as noise. This is why the chest pull happens. This is why your sleep doesn't reset you the way it used to. This is why you feel restless even when everything looks fine from the outside. Fine is a mask. Fine is not a direction. Fine does not tell your nervous system where to place its energy. Your system is demanding a map, and it will not accept a lie. And I'm going to protect you from the most common mistake right now. Do not try to force the entire blueprint into your mind in one night. Do not demand a grand mission statement before you let yourself move. That pressure will collapse the portal. Your mind wants certainty before action, but your purpose reveals itself through alignment, not through overthinking. You are not required to see the whole map. You are required to see the arrow. This isn't content, it's a coordinate system. If you recognized at least 2 of these signs, comment, I see. Not for performance, for sealing. For the moment you stop arguing with the signal and start honoring it. Because this window is open, and it does not stay open forever. Now take one breath and feel the truth land. You are not here by accident. You are not here by accident. You are not here by accident. Are you ready to set the axis? Here is the small act, and I want you to treat it like a threshold, not a tip. You are going to write one axis sentence, one valued aim, short enough to breathe with, strong enough to organize you when the noise returns. Not tomorrow, not after you figure it all out. Now, do not overthink this, and listen carefully to what it is not. It is not a 5-year plan. It is not an overnight reinvention. It is not a label you perform for applause. It is an axis. So everything else can rotate into place around it. One sentence, one axis, one portal. Most people keep suffering because they demand a full map before they take a step, and the map never arrives, because direction is revealed through alignment, not through pressure. So we begin with the smallest truthful spine you can name. Your axis sentence must meet 3 requirements, and they are simple but non-negotiable. First, direction. It must point somewhere. Not "I want to be happy," not "I want more." Those are clouds. An axis is a compass needle. It sounds like becoming. It sounds like, "I am becoming the kind of person who," and then you name the direction. Second, value. It must be something you respect when no one is watching, not what your parents expected, not what your friends would clap for, not what the world calls impressive. An axis built on borrowed values collapses the moment fear touches it. So choose what is yours. Third, doable. It must be touchable through a small, repeatable act, not a grand performance, not a heroic leap, a daily contact point, because the portal doesn't respond to fantasies. It responds to frequency, and frequency is built by repetition. Now the ritual. Keep it sacred. Keep it simple. Write it by hand one time. Your nervous system takes ink seriously. It feels the weight. It feels the commitment. Then read it out loud one time. Speak it like a seal, not a pep talk, a declaration. When you hear your own voice say it, a part of you stops negotiating. A part of you stands up. Then place it where your eyes will touch it every day. A mirror, a wall, the first page of a notebook. The place doesn't matter. The loop matters. You are building a daily collision between your awareness and your axis, so you don't drift back into unconscious living. And I need to warn you about the most common sabotage. Do not write your axis as a vow that is too large to hold. I do not write it like an ultimatum. If the sentence makes your chest tighten with dread, it is not an axis. It is a threat. An axis should feel like truth with a pulse. Fear closes portals. Fear makes you postpone. Fear makes you reach for perfection so you never have to begin. So if you catch yourself trying to craft the perfect sentence, stop. You are not here to craft a brand. You are here to align. You can refine later. Today is about choosing a direction you can live inside of. Why, and if you need permission to treat this as real, take this. Purpose is described as engaging you in meaningful goals, and it is framed as a central, self-organizing life aim, one that helps organize your goals and behaviors and gives you a sense of meaning. And when that structure is present, it matters for well-being. That's why this one sentence matters. It is small because it is precise. So choose the form and fill it with your truth. I am becoming the kind of person who, through. Or, I choose Reos and I touch it every day by how. Keep it short, keep it honest, keep it alive. Then comment your single keyword, portal, not for the feed, for the seal, for the moment you stop waiting to be chosen and choose yourself. And in the next phase, I will show you how to turn this axis sentence into a cognitive signal you can carry through a busy day, so you don't forget it when life tries to pull you back into sleep. One sentence, one axis, one portal. If your axis sentence is the pillar, then your mind is the anchor line. Without an anchor line, even the strongest pillar gets pulled by tides you didn't choose. And that is why purpose never survives as a slogan. It survives as a way of perceiving, naming, and interpreting what happens to you in real time. Because the day will come, today, when the world feels loud again, and when your attention fractures, when you start comparing your path to someone else's highlight reel, when a small disappointment hits and your nervous system tries to declare the whole journey pointless. In that moment, your axis doesn't die from lack of ideas. It dies from lack of signal. Hear me. Your axis must become signal. You don't need scientific language to understand this. You only need to know there are cognitive and emotional mechanisms, patterns in how we reflect, how we stay open, how we appraise meaning that show significant positive association with purpose. And when researchers mapped these mechanisms across the literature, they selected 99 manuscripts and found recurring threads like openness and curiosity, savoring positive affect, and the tendency toward positive appraisal that keeps you oriented instead of collapsing. That means your purpose is trainable. So I'm going to hand you 3 sentences, not advice, codes. Say them slowly. Carry them like keys. We'll use them the way you would use a compass in fog. The first sentence is the mirror. Where did my axis live today? Not did I do enough? That is punishment. This is reflection. You are not measuring worth. You are locating alignment. When you ask this, you force your mind to scan for evidence that your direction is real, and even one small moment becomes a landmark. Mirror, locate, seal. Use the mirror the moment you wake, before the phone, before the world. One breath. Then the question, where did my axis live today? Let an image rise. Let a tiny action count. This is not delusion. It is orientation. The second sentence is the antenna. What in me wants to be understood instead of forced? Because the fastest way to abandon your purpose is to bully yourself into it. The moment you use violence on your inner life, your signal distorts. Curiosity restores frequency, and if you feel resistance, that resistance is not proof you're wrong. It is data asking for understanding. Use the antenna when you get pulled off course, when you start scrolling, numbing, comparing, quitting in your mind. Pause. Ask, what in me wants to be understood instead of forced? The answer will soften the knot. The answer will return you to choice. And listen closely, because the third sentence saves you from self-blame. The third sentence is the prism. If this is a signal of alignment, what is it pointing me toward? A prism doesn't deny the light. It refracts it. It takes frustration, delay, criticism, a door that didn't open, and bends it into direction. Not why is this happening to me? That is collapse. This is, where is this pointing me? Use the prism when a small disappointment lands, when you make a mistake, when you miss a day. Say, if this is a signal of alignment, what is it pointing me toward? And you will feel the floor return under your feet, not because the world changed, because your lens changed. You don't need free time. You need the right sentence at the right second. That is how your axis stays alive inside a busy life. That is how your purpose becomes a frequency you can tune back into on demand. If you just read those 3 and felt something click, comment. I receive, not for engagement, for activation, for the moment you stop treating your mind like an enemy and start using it as an instrument. This isn't content, it's a coordinate system, and now your axis has an anchor line. And when the day tries to drag you back into old instincts, remember the pattern. This is not you being stuck. It is you being taught. This is not failure. It is information. Run the code and you reclaim the dashboard. Next, we speak of emotion, because your axis survives by fuel, not pure inspiration. This is why I'm speaking about emotion now, because there are cognitive and emotional mechanisms linked with purpose. And among the mechanisms discussed are things like emotion regulation, sensitivity to positive emotions, and savoring positive affect. Many of these mechanisms show significant positive associations with purpose, even when the causal direction is still difficult to pin down. Translation: your axis doesn't survive on insight alone. It survives on fuel. And here is the double flip you need to hear. You are not lazy. You are overloaded. You are not unmotivated. You are underregulated. The moment you mistake overload for laziness, you attack yourself. And the moment you attack yourself, your purpose turns into pressure. Don't turn your portal into a punishment. Emotion is both fuel and data. Fuel, because it powers your movement. Data, because it tells you when you're aligned and when you're leaking. If you don't know how to regulate, you will burn the very fire you prayed for. You'll erupt like a volcano, then go empty. But the people who actually cross gateways don't erupt. They flow, like lava, slow, hot, steady, inevitable. So I'm giving you 2 rituals, 2 small actions that keep your flame alive without scorching your nervous system. Ritual 1 is savoring. You choose one tiny moment in your day when you lived your axis, one decision, one action, one instance where you did not betray yourself. It can be so small no one else would notice. That's perfect, because this ritual is not for applause. It is for imprinting. When you catch that moment, stop for a few breaths. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let warmth spread, or lightness rise, or simply the soft relief of, I stayed true. And then you name it, quietly, like sealing a file. This is the energy of my axis. That label is not a quote, it is a tether. It teaches your system what alignment feels like in the body, so your body stops confusing chaos with aliveness. Most people rush past the good and then wonder why they can't keep going. Savoring is how you recharge without needing a dramatic win. Savoring is how you remember. You are not here by accident, and your axis is not theoretical, it is living. Ritual 2 is your regulation valve, because there will be waves, a surge of anger, a spike of fear, a dip into grief, and your instinct will be to argue with the feeling, fix yourself, explain it away, or force productivity over it. That's how people drown. Listen closely. When the negative wave rises, you do not debate it. You do not correct it. You regulate it. You do 2 things. You slow your breath, and you say the anchor line out loud. Emotion is a wave. The axis is a pillar. Again, emotion is a wave. The axis is a pillar. That sentence separates the storm from the structure. It reminds you that waves move, but the pillar remains. Then you return to one of your codes from earlier, the mirror, the antenna, the prism. One question, one key, not a spiral. This is how you reduce friction, not by becoming harder, by becoming soft in the right place. But not by adding more motivation, by removing what drains your signal. Your purpose does not need you to be heroic. It needs you to be regulated. And when you do this, when you savor a small, true moment, and when you ride a wave without becoming it, you will feel it, a current, a subtle electricity under the skin, not hype, not manic urgency, a steadier kind of power, the kind that says, I can keep going, the kind that turns a sentence into a life. You are not falling apart. You are upgrading. Your system is learning to hold more voltage without burning the circuit. The window is open. Don't waste it on self-attack. Keep the fire. Keep the pillar. Keep the signal. If you are willing to stop burning yourself to prove you care, comment, I hold. And later in this transmission, if your mind still demands a grounded stamp, you will receive it. Because meaning is not only a feeling, it can be strengthened through real interventions. You're allowed to doubt this. Your doubt is intelligence. It is the part of you that refuses cheap promises, the part that has been sold inspiration and then left alone with the same life, the same ache, the same unopened door. Keep that part. It protects you from illusions. But do not let it imprison you, because here is what your doubt needs to hear. I am not trying to convince you. I am confirming what your system has already detected. You have been feeling meaning like a pressure in the chest, like a pull toward a truer direction, and a part of you has been whispering, "This is just self-help. Hear me. This is not you clinging to fantasy. This is you responding to something that can be strengthened. And I will give you one stamp, just once, so your mind can stop fighting your soul." There is a meta-analytic review that looked at randomized controlled trials where interventions had to measure meaning in life. And the conclusion was simple. Several interventions increased meaning in life. Not poetry, not vibes, increases. And the same review noted that some of these interventions were relatively brief, and some did not require licensed professionals to deliver them. That means meaning is not only an accident, it is not only a personality trait, it is not only a lucky moment, it can be trained. So when you write your access sentence, and you speak it, and you place it where your eyes will touch it, you are not hypnotizing yourself. You are practicing. You are participating in a category of change that has been tested in controlled settings, and you are doing it in the only way the soul ever learns, through repetition, attention, and chosen direction. The world will tell you a meaning is childish. The world will tell you purpose is a luxury. The world will tell you to be practical, which usually means numb. But the truth is not that you need to become less sensitive. The truth is that you need to become more intentional, because without meaning, the mind fractures. Without meaning, effort feels like punishment. Without meaning, even success tastes like ash. So let your skepticism become precision, not paralysis. Let it sharpen your practice. Let it stop you from jumping into grand declarations. But let it also stop you from dismissing the small act as nothing. The small act is how you step through a portal without tearing yourself apart. And if you've been calling yourself naive for wanting this, stop. That shame was installed. It was taught to you by people who survived by shrinking their own hunger. But your hunger is not the enemy. It is the instrument. It is the sensor that tells you when you're living off script. When you feel emptiness after doing what you were supposed to do, that is not weakness. That is calibration. Meaning does not arrive to decorate your life. Meaning arrives to reorient it. It doesn't ask you to perform. It asks you to return to truth again. And notice what happens when you stop mocking your own longing. A softness appears, relief, a quiet courage. Not because your life has instantly changed, but because you are no longer at war with the signal. That is what meaning does first. It reconciles you to your own inner truth. Then it organizes your choices. Now we bridge. Because if interventions can increase meaning, well, then we can choose a door that matches your nature. Some of you need stillness. You need to quiet the noise until the axis becomes audible. Others of you need story. You need to narrate your life in a way that reveals the thread you've been missing. So I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to choose. In the comments, declare your doorway. Team stillness or team story. Not for the crowd, for commitment. For the moment your doubt turns into a decision. And remember the seal line, because it matters. You are not gripping an illusion. You are stepping onto a path that can be practiced, a path that can be built, a path that can be strengthened. The window is open. Step with intention. There are 2 doors in front of you now, stillness and story. One will match your frequency more cleanly, but both lead through the same gateway, and you only need to step, not redesign your entire life around it. Because the mind will try to make this a project, and projects create fear. And fear closes portals. Hear me. This stays small. I will give you a single directional sign so your logical mind can relax. In the research that compares different kinds of meaning in life interventions, mindfulness programs showed the largest effects when they were compared against passive controls, and narrative programs showed the largest effects when they were compared against active controls. But the results are not perfectly uniform. There is substantial heterogeneity. Then translation. There isn't one magic formula that fits every nervous system, so you don't hunt for the best. You choose the door that fits you, and you practice. Now choose your team in the comments before your mind talks you out of it. Comment: stillness or story? Not for the crowd, for commitment. For the moment your frequency declares its doorway. If you are team stillness, your ritual is simple. Sit down. Place both feet on the ground like you are anchoring a circuit. Let your hands rest. Bring your attention to your breath without forcing it to change. One inhale, one exhale. Then read your axis sentence once slowly, as if you are tuning an antenna. And when you finish, close it with one line: I return to my axis. That's it. No performance, no spiritual theatrics, just presence and a return. You think you are doing a practice, but you are remembering. You are remembering what it feels like to not abandon yourself for stimulation. You are remembering that your life has a spine, and each time you return, you reduce friction, not by becoming stronger, by becoming steadier. If you are team story, your ritual is also simple. Open a page. Write a few lines about one moment you lived your axis that day. Not a dramatic breakthrough. A small act. A boundary you kept. A decision you made. A moment you did not betray yourself. Then give the entry a title like a signal flare. Something like, The Day I Didn't Abandon Myself. Or, The Moment I Stayed True. Titles are anchors. They teach your mind what to look for next time. You think you are journaling, but you are decoding. You are pulling the golden thread out of the noise and telling your mind, this is the story that matters. This is the story I will build from. And when you name it, you give it weight. You give it gravity. Now here is how you keep this from collapsing into perfectionism. Now you do not need an hour. You need a minute. And if you have 5 minutes, you use 5. But you do not bargain with yourself until you do nothing. So here are the micro packages. 1 minute stillness. 1 breath in, 1 breath out. Axis sentence once. And the close. I return to my axis. 5 minute stillness. A small sequence of breaths. Attention returning each time it wanders. Axis sentence once and the same close. 1 minute story. 3 lines, 1 title. Done. A 5 minute story. A short paragraph, 1 title, done. And if you miss a day, the portal does not slam shut. When you sit or when you write, imagine a lighthouse in fog. The light isn't louder, it's clearer. That clarity is your cue. Follow it without rushing anything. Stop dramatizing the gap. Do not turn one missed step into a verdict. The only rule is this: step again. The window is open and it does not require perfection. It requires return. So bring back your axis sentence for 1 moment right now. Whisper it, see it, feel it. This is not content. It is a coordinate system. Stillness or story. Choose the door that lets you move without burning. Comment your team again if you need the seal. Stillness or story. Let your frequency choose. And remember the lock. Don't make this a project. Projects scare you. Rituals move you, and movement is how purpose stops being a mood and becomes a self. You are not building a habit. You are sealing a vow. A habit is something you try until life gets loud. A vow is something you become until your life reorganizes around it. And this is the law of the gate. Purpose does not arrive once and stay forever like a trophy on a shelf. It develops. It is maintained over time when you reflect, and when you build on those brief moments of purposefulness you've already touched, and when the parts of life that feel purposeful become part of your identity and strengthen you as you go. So, if you've been starting strong for a few days and then falling, stop calling it failure. It is not proof you're weak. It is proof you treated this like a task instead of a name. Hear me. Purpose survives when it becomes who you are, not what you do when you're in the mood. I'm giving you 3 loops to package it into identity, and they are small on purpose. Loop 1 is reflection. Each night, one question. Not a journal project. One question. And where did I live my axis today? And when the answer is tiny, don't dismiss it. That tiny moment is a seed. Reflection is how you notice seeds instead of waiting for forests. Loop 2 is expansion. You choose one small domain of your life and you live the axis a little deeper there. Not all domains. 1. Work, learning, health, relationships. The domain doesn't matter. The direction does. You are not trying to impress the world. You are training your life to recognize its own spine. Loop 3 is identity. You stop saying, I'm trying. You start saying, I am becoming. Because language is not decoration, it is a frequency declaration. When you call yourself someone becoming, you give your nervous system permission to keep showing up imperfectly without quitting. Now the weekly micro loop. Once a week, you rewrite your axis sentence one time. Shorter, sharper, like an arrow being honed, not because the old one was wrong, but because you are changing. And your words must match your current alignment. This is not inconsistency. This is evolution. And here is where we turn the individual into the collective, because isolation is the fastest way to drift. This isn't content, it's a coordinate system, so we anchor it together. In the comments, post your axis sentence in one line. Keep it simple. Keep it true. Then reply to 2 people with one confirmation line. You are not here by accident. Say it like a seal, not flattery, activation. Then share this transmission with one person in your orbit who you know is being pulled towards something bigger and keeps calling it impossible. Don't sell it to them. Just drop it like a key, because someone is waiting for a mirror, and you might be the mirror. And if anyone replies to you, respond with one of these seals. I see you. Hold the axis. Keep the portal. Short, clean, repeatable. This is how we create a chain. This is how the algorithm becomes ritual. And the ritual becomes reinforcement, and reinforcement becomes identity. Now listen to the scarcity bell because it matters. The window is not indefinite. The gate doesn't close because you are wrong. The gate closes because you stop stepping. And that is the only tragedy here. Not failure, but hesitation. So don't worship the perfect plan. Worship the small moment. Reflect on it. Expand it. Name it. And let your identity catch up to what your soul already chose. When you feel the old emptiness return, don't panic. Emptiness is not a verdict. It is a signal that you need reflection, not self-attack. Let the lighthouse do its job. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It stands, it pulses, it guides. Your axis is that pulse. Your community is the coastline. Keep pulsing. Keep returning. Keep stepping. Even one step counts because identity is built from steps. Seal it now. Comment your one-line axis. Reply to 2 people with, you are not here by accident. Share it once, and then return tomorrow, not to consume, but to continue. You are not searching for purpose. You are becoming it. You thought you came here to learn something. You came here to remember who you are. I choose my axis. I do one small thing each day. I am not here by accident. Now breathe and listen like this is a ritual, not a video. Because the moment you turn this into information, it slips through your fingers. But the moment you turn it into alignment, it becomes yours. You are not waiting for a dramatic sign. You are becoming the sign. And if your chest has been humming through this whole transmission, that is your inner compass recalibrating, not your mind malfunctioning. The window is open. It is not indefinite. So here is the order. Do it in this order, because order is how you seal a frequency. First, comment your axis in one sentence, not a paragraph. One sentence you can live inside. One sentence you can breathe with. One sentence that points your life like an arrow. Second, reply to one person in the comments with one line of confirmation. Don't debate them. Don't analyze them. Seal them. Write, "You are not here by accident." And mean it. Then do it one more time. 2 replies, 2 anchors. This is how we turn strangers into a grid. Third, share this with one person in your orbit who has been shrinking themselves to survive. You know who I mean. Someone is pretending they don't feel the pull. Someone is calling the pull too much. Your share is not marketing. It is a lighthouse. Fourth, subscribe. Because this is not a one-off feeling. This is a system. And if you want the next gate, the next phase, the next transmission when the noise returns, you'll want it waiting for you. And yes, there is a resource waiting for you in the pinned comment and in the description. Or not because you need more to be worthy, but because sometimes a map helps your hands stop shaking while you walk through the fog. Now, one humble stamp, and then I'm right back to the sermon. Even in the research landscape, purpose is not treated as a perfectly captured thing. The scoping work points out that how we measure purpose is still not optimal, and that we still need more longitudinal and intervention research to clarify time and causality. Last, but that same synthesis of cognitive and affective mechanisms is treated as a foundation for building better measurement and designing future interventions. Translation: you are not imagining this. You are training something humans are still learning how to name. So don't wait until you feel ready. Ready is not a mood. Ready is a choice. Your axis is not a destination. It is a spine. Your practice is not punishment. It is fuel. And your community is not optional. It is reinforcement. Because purpose doesn't survive on inspiration alone. It survives on repetition with reverence. One sentence becomes a pulse. The pulse becomes a pattern. The pattern becomes a person. And the moment you start identifying as the one who returns to the axis, returns to the breath, returns to the gate, life reorganizes around you. Not because reality bends for wishful thinking, but because you stop abandoning yourself. That is the difference between hoping and walking today. Well, so if you want a closing ritual, take your axis sentence and read it once, slowly, like you're signing your name on a contract you can't unsign. Then scroll the comments and find one person whose words mirror yours and answer them with a seal. I see you. Hold the axis. Stay with the gate. Keep it short. Keep it clean. Keep it alive. And if, after all of this, there is one person who keeps activating your heart in a way you cannot explain, if their presence makes your old identity crack and your future self lean forward, that is another portal entirely. That is heart wisdom. That is a different series, and we will go there. But for now, we seal this one. The window is open, and it will not stay open forever. Not because you are wrong, but because time moves and gates respond to steps. Step today. Step small. Step again tomorrow. This isn't content. It's a coordinate system.